It went very, very, very well. Take note of the emphasis. Very well, yeah. Because the women were given the famous and the most sought after desire, 35% affirmative action.
I would like to remind you that when that issue of the affirmative action was brought up on the floor, it was actually also thrown out because they felt it was not needed since it had been domesticated by the country already. So it wasn't really like the conference took a decision on it actually.
No, they did eventually. Okay, eventually the answer of the following day showed it. Yeah, yes, they accepted 35% affirmative action. It's there in the proceedings. Okay, yes. Initially, they didn't get it, maybe it's the usual sentiments that follows 35% affirmative action. So it's like they voted it down. But when the women when they explained further.
And terrorized.
They didn't terrorize. They were only trying to make them understand. And thank God for the chairman, the deputy chairman, of course, our representative on that platform, the secretary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that wasn't because for anyone listening now, they will assume that was the only thing that happened. I also found it very instructive during the week that after about 2-3 weeks of not being able to arrive at a consensus on how to change the procedure, taking into consideration the amount of reports remaining and all that, it appeared this week a change was finally agreed upon.
I want to believe that it will not be changed again. Because all the ones that have been changed, we are agreed on. Human being is dynamic. We are all dynamic people there. If they found out that it's not working, they may still need to amend. But this week, it worked. So let's believe that is the final change.
Timing-wise, with the way that the conference is going, the fear had been expressed that time was not on the side of delegates and the conference. Do you still have that fear?
I'll have the fear going by our timetable. I have that fear. But it is not the making of anybody. Don't forget that Nigerians have not been brought together for so many years, democratically. Since the time of our independence, Before the independence, we had a series of conferences that actually brought Nigeria, gave birth to Nigeria. And after that, we had the Civil War. And it's like to your attention, Israel, Nigerians didn't really have a democratic conference as this one. This is about the first time. You expect that people will, first of all, steam out because they have been bottled up for so many years. So those times we are not wasted time at all. In fact, that is, if I tell you that Nigeria will exist, and it's existing, and we know it will exist, that this conference will succeed is because of those stormy weeks.
But the time price, now the price that has to be paid in terms of time.
You are not paying any price. We are not brought here for joke. The president put this conference together because he knew there was need for it. And those were the needs that were settled.
Or will you finish on the time? We understand the federal government may not extend the conference further. So looking at the conference, and if you agree with me, there are some very sensitive committee reports that have not been considered.
That is what I'm trying to make you understand. That if you have an objective, you set out an objective, you spend so much time, you spend so much money, and you have just 1 or 2 weeks to achieve that thing, would that be too much for the sacrifice? Bearing in mind your objective. The federal government, thank God, have spent much money. They have spent time, but it's not time wasted. It's not money wasted. Think about the people they have agglomerated together. They are business people, successful business in their own. They have left them in sacrifice. They left their businesses, and they come together to make sure that we sort out these problems, these agitations once and for all. My brother, what is the problem? Sister, what is the problem? Even in the family, a man who will not bring the family together to discuss will definitely have a problem. So from time to time, you bring your family together so that you can air out, steam out. Even God says, come, let's play together. That's God Almighty, the creator, God of all creation. He said, come, my children, come, let's play together. Those who are willing and obedient will eat of the good of the land. So if God himself knows that it is important for people to gather together, what about human beings? Nigerians had not really come together like they have done this time. Every sector of the society is represented in this conference. Look at the youths. Have the youths ever been remembered? The disabled, the minorities, call them.
But we're talking, I agree we're talking.
Yeah.
What I have not still understood from you is what's your position on whether or not we will meet the time set?
Definitely, from the timetable, they will not meet the time.
And so what will be the way forward?
The way forward is your guess is as good as mine.
Okay.
You set out an objective for these people. You give them terms of reference. They have not met the time. Maybe they need 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I don't know. It's the leaders, yes, that will determine that. It's left for you to know whether you need to extend it or not.
During the week, because of the change in procedure, a lot of progress was made. Reports were treated and some resolutions were taken. One interesting amendment for me had to do with the one that was passed that said no more foreign medical trips for public officers. I'm now wondering if we're going to pass these resolutions back to the public officers to implement, do you see this being implemented?
Yes, I see them implementing because they are patriotic. And don't forget that what the conference is doing is projection. We are projecting to the future, what the path Nigeria should go. So most of the resolutions are not immediate for immediate implementation. We have short-term, we have medium-term, we have long-term implementation. What the aim, objective of that resolution is for us to have medical tourism, like Indian. You know, India set out a time for themselves. They didn't just start. There was a time when Indians were all over Nigeria, you know, and they're all over the world. But they set out for themselves that so year we will want to achieve this. And they have achieved it. So the issue of not passing it, that is being selfish. Because it's not for you. You are not targeted. You're a public officer today. You may not be a public officer tomorrow. After the election is coming. You don't know whether you're coming back or not.
But you would agree with me that these are some of the resolutions the conference is passing now are issues that have been mentioned, brought up, advocated. This issue of having public officers, I think it even extended to education, where they were saying just to help the educational sector. But all that time, they were not taken into...
No, it's just for point of emphasis. You are just trying to justify this conference. That's what we are trying to do. Because all this, we have been, most of this even have laws, acts. Why are they not implemented? It's creating awareness and re-emphasizing. Where the laws are not there, please enact a law. Where the laws are weak, strengthen the law. Where you have the laws, they are strong, they are not implemented, implement it. We are trying to tell ourselves the truth that this is not right. If you've done it wrong before, it shouldn't remain. If you fall down, if you and I fall down, you won't remain there. You will stand up. If anybody feels Nigeria had been on the ground or on the floor, we are saying we have the, God is telling us actually, you have the capacity to stand up. Stand up from where you are and move. You may even move and start running and overtake somebody who has been on the move. So that's what they're trying to say. All these laws or these agitations or this information, some of them have been there. They have been talked about. But since they are not implemented, there are still issues, burning issues. So we are bringing them back to the fore, reminding ourselves, whoever is in a position of authority or policy making or formulation or whatever, that this is important for our future generations. If it's not for us again, for our future generation. But otherwise, even us. You know, what about Dora Akunyele? They agreed and fought a battle that was there, dormant. This was established long before she was appointed. And she would have just gone there and said, oh, after all, this thing has been there. Why did I? But she fought it. Was she the only one saved? Today, it's unfortunate. Of blessed memory, I love her. And Nigerians know they have lost a real gem. But she saved most of us, knowingly or unknowingly, directly or indirectly. Most of these chemists, you go, you buy fake drugs. You are sick already. Your immune system is down. And you now take poison again to eat. That's a quick access to this thing now, to death. You know?
Okay, I get your point now.